Hundreds of video games launch annually, each unique in their own right. Yet so few stand out. Fewer still prove groundbreaking enough to leave an indelible mark on the industry. In 2004, the Sydney, Australia-based Team Bondi embarked on a lengthy development journey to craft such an experience. Studio founder Brendan McNamara longed to create a game to rival the likes of Rockstar Games' Grand Theft Auto franchise. From McNamara's perspective, producing something so ambitious unfortunately necessitated unmitigated sacrifice. Team Bondi's 2011 detective thriller, LA Noire, made for an unprecedented piece of art. A Rockstar-published open-world adventure, the game boasted a near-perfect facsimile of 1947 Los Angeles. Thanks to Team Bondi's sister company, Depth Analysis, the revolutionary technology known as MotionScan populated Los Angeles' gorgeously recreated digital world with stunningly realistic characters. Players explore said world by assuming the role of Cole Phelps, a former Marine whose investigative prowess sees him quickly climb the LAPD ranks by solving crimes, practically all of which were inspired by period-specific LAPD case files. The final product remains a seminal part of Rockstar's catalog, its critical acclaim and commercial success undoubtedly a result of the game's meticulous attention to detail. However, even Cole Phelps would have struggled to unravel the mysteries behind LA Noire's circuitous development, beset by oppressive working conditions and a litany of other issues that culminated in Team Bondi's storied demise. This is the history of LA Noire.
I think he's with us again.
Morning, sunshine. Good to see you again. Did you sleep well? You look a little drowsy. Grievous, bring the boy around. I want his undivided attention.
Shortly after directing Team Soho's The Getaway for Sony Computer Entertainment Europe, Brendan McNamara returned to his home country of Australia to found Team Bondi, bringing along 5 of his former colleagues. The group spent months doing technical research on a new IP for what was then referred to as the third-generation PlayStation, before Sony Computer Entertainment America and Team Bondi formally announced their exclusive publishing deal in January of 2004. In an interview with Eurogamer the following month, McNamara described the partnership as a long-term exclusive agreement. Ironically, despite a reported 3-game deal, the agreement came to an end approximately 2 years later. Team Bondi unveiled its PS3 exclusive as LA Noire in July 2005. Yet the studio's relationship with Sony had strangely changed by September of 2006, as Rockstar shared plans to publish LA Noire, merely labeling it a next-generation crime thriller and making no mention of specific platforms. Though a black-and-white teaser trailer accompanied the news, another month passed before a lengthier debut trailer hit the web. This initial glimpse constituted a proof of concept above all else. Still, it was more than enough to draw attention to the work in progress, especially with Rockstar's seal of approval. But the GTA studio's involvement meant more for LA Noire than funding and a well-known company logo attached to an enchanting trailer. McNamara addressed the magnitude of Rockstar's support in Game Informer's March 2010 LA Noire cover issue, praising the company's gameplay expertise and incredible attention to detail. He echoed similar sentiments in a GameSpot retrospective 1 month following the project's release, explaining that LA Noire would not exist without the contributions of everyone in the Rockstar family. Such aid, consisting of assistance from several Rockstar satellite studios, represented a boon for Team Bondi. Considering LA Noire's unparalleled technical goals, the company needed all the extra help it could muster.
What have we got?
White female dumped in plain sight. I'll bet a month's salary this is a copycat.
4 women, all murdered, all put on display, all with messages.
The Examiner received a new letter today.
We got the wrong guy.
McNamara's ambitions extended beyond those of writing and directing a Rockstar-caliber adventure. He also dreamed of pioneering a new way to record performances in games, essentially aiming to capture more detail in motion capture. Thus, in addition to founding Team Bondi, he established depth analysis in 2004, instantly beginning work on a novel technique with the company's head of research and development, Oliver Bow. Together, the duo conceived MotionScan, technology that abandoned traditional motion capture in favor of an intricate rig composed of 32 high-definition cameras. Since each camera captured 3D performances at upwards of 30 frames per second, MotionScan processed approximately 50 minutes of final footage per day, a higher rate than industry-standard methods. In a 2010 press release unveiling depth analysis and MotionScan, McNamara claimed no other capture solution could communicate the subtle nuances of LA Noire. The recording process took place in a soundproof and lightproof room, uniformly bathed in a sterile white light to guarantee the actor's face remained unobscured by shadows. During capture sessions, the actor sat motionlessly in a chair surrounded by the 32-camera rig. Depth Analysis's intricate setup seamlessly converted film visuals into 3D footage, eliminating the need for the finer touches of character artists and the phosphorescent paint typically applied to an actor's face. Though Team Bondi still made use of motion capture for tracking body movements, McNamara viewed MotionScan as a solution to the traditional technique's other quirks, like the uncanny valley that long plagued game performances with lip-syncing issues. Interestingly, MotionScan's speedier capture method presented a few unique challenges. Most notably, casting proved a Herculean effort because every character needed to be fully animated and voiced, random pedestrians included. The delicate way in which MotionScan operated further exacerbated casting woes. Cole Phelps actor Aaron Staton divulged performers were only allowed about 45 degrees of head movement when sitting in the rig's chair. These stringent limitations were particularly taxing on Australian actors, who struggled to remain still while speaking in an American accent. In part, such peculiar circumstances informed Depth Analysis's decision to move its operations from Sydney to Los Angeles in late 2009. Despite the extra hassle, MotionScan epitomized Team Bondi's groundbreaking aspirations, which were additionally elevated by another piece of custom technology.
Street officer needs help. 211, the shots fired. Unit to ammo code 3 identified.
In accommodating MotionScan, LA Noire became one of the few post-2006 Rockstar projects to not run on its Rage game engine, with a Team Bondi-designed proprietary engine powering the detective thriller instead. The studio's initial proximity to Sony saw Team Bondi base its technology on the PS3's Cell microprocessor, taking advantage of its synergistic processing units to fully realize the dynamic weather, physics, traffic systems, and day-night cycle in LA Noire. These efforts proved integral to the game's innumerable triumphs. Nearly every facet of Team Bondi's and Depth Analysis's technological advances warranted praise upon release, specifically LA Noire's most marketed feature, interrogations. Regardless of whether protagonist Cole Phelps was a beat cop, decorated LAPD detective, or slumming at post-demotion in Arson Squad, interrogations were paramount to the experience.
Your husband is missing, and after our search, I'm willing to call the circumstances suspicious. Can you account for your movements last night?
You're not accusing me, are you? What an awful thing to say.
Investigations began with Cole visiting a crime scene and scouring the area for evidence. Players then utilized newfound intelligence to question witnesses and ultimately bring in suspects. Enter the significance of MotionScan, which allowed players to analyze the facial expressions of every witness and suspect. Depending on how a character reacted to Cole's questioning, players could select truth, doubt, or lie in order to advance the interrogation process. Thus, a player's attentiveness, or lack thereof, could either make or break a case. Incorrectly accusing a witness of lying could result in their refusal to disclose further information. Doing the same to a suspect would elicit similar consequences. The gameplay mechanic itself isn't without flaws, however. Choosing doubt during interrogation sequences sometimes led to Cole's response seeming overly hostile.
Gabriel's been in trouble before. He left you here alone to answer for him, and you expect me to believe that his motive was honor?
Please don't yell at me. I've done nothing wrong.
McNamara told an audience at Bradford Animation Festival 2011 that this wasn't Team Bondi's intention. Interrogation segments were written and filmed to support coax, force, and lie options. Doubt, then became a substitute for force, a more aggressive answer. Interestingly, Rockstar's LA Noire remaster changed the dialogue choices once more to good cop, bad cop, and accuse. The arduous effort that went into capturing facial features wasn't similarly applied to body movements. Consequently, critics and players alike critiqued LA Noire for its characters appearing dead from the neck down. According to McNamara's talk at Bradford Animation Festival, achieving realism in a character's expressions led some to expect an equally unprecedented level of detail would be reflected in the way clothes and bodies moved. At the time, video games were not yet capable of replicating said behaviors. Regardless, LA Noire's technical flaws were far and away superseded by numerous strengths, evidenced in its earning quite a few perfect and near-perfect review scores. Team Bondi primarily garnered praise for the impressive manner with which investigations were handled. Apart from the aforementioned bewilderment concerning some of Cole's questionable responses, the gameplay mechanics embedded within investigations were also generally well received. However, many reviewers felt the overarching narrative, namely that which centered on Cole Phelps' personal life, considerably lacked emotional weight. The Rockstar-published title's commercial success was no slouch either. Less than a month after its PS3 and Xbox 360 release, LA Noire boasted sales of 899,000 copies in the United States alone. In early 2012, Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two Interactive, revealed a sales total of nearly 5 million units worldwide. Team Bondi and Rockstar didn't get to bask in the adulation for long. Reportedly, LA Noire's praiseworthy triumphs came at a steep cost.
That's him. Get him.
From conception to its May 2011 release, LA Noire's 7-year development cycle endured many hardships. While the challenges involving MotionScan certainly played a part, some developers blamed ineffective leadership, compounded by the unpleasant studio culture. The first complaint went public in January 2010, weeks after the Rockstar spouse controversy first rocked the industry. Earlier that month, spouses of Rockstar San Diego personnel took to Gama Sutra, airing their grievances about alleged 6-day work weeks, pay cuts, and the degradation employees suffered because of crunch practices. According to a series of anonymous tweets, the Rockstar spouse allegations were identical to those from unnamed sources familiar with Team Bondi's operations. Following the game's launch, IGN Australia published a comprehensive look at why LA Noire took 7 years to make. The site's findings were based on testimonials from 11 former developers, dubbed the Bondi 11, all of whom preferred to remain anonymous. IGN additionally interviewed McNamara to garner his impressions of the claims. The Bondi 11 all shared similar anecdotes about Team Bondi's studio culture. According to them, the early days were quite tough, but good. In fact, within the first year, Team Bondi delivered a couple of milestones to Sony, even though they were unimpressive. Consequently, managers became aggressive and demanding. Ex-employees spoke of ominous crunch that culminated in unrealistic goals, unreasonable deadlines, and verbally abusive behavior. An artist reported having worked 60-hour work weeks on average for 3 years, which sometimes leaped past 100 hours, and anyone who clocked out at 7:30 p.m. would get evil eyes. Each of IGN's sources claimed they never received overtime pay. Team Bondi's informal hierarchy served as another point of contention, often resulting in McNamara directly approaching staff with critiques, as opposed to consulting team leaders. When questioned, the studio head countered that since LA Noire was his game, he could approach anyone on the team and enforce changes. With regard to intense work hours, McNamara insisted he stayed longer than anyone else. Furthermore, because they were producing something wholly unique, he felt that his staff should have been willing to put in whatever labor necessary. While McNamara conceded the hours were abnormal, he argued those wanting a 9-to-5 would do best to pursue another career. He applied a similar thought process to verbal abuse allegations. One source described McNamara as the angriest person he'd ever met, citing instances of the studio head screaming at developers. McNamara didn't consider his behavior verbally abusive, though, reasoning that his passion led to arguments, which in turn begat progress. Unsurprisingly, the poor state of affairs resulted in lots of turnover, whereby developers seldom stuck around. McNamara admitted more than 100 staff departed during LA Noire's production. According to him, most were inexperienced. But the Bondi 11 argued the studio purposefully hired junior personnel, considering them disposable resources. If they couldn't handle long hours and work-filled weekends, they were encouraged to leave. Worse still, dozens of employees didn't receive credit for their contributions. In July 2011, former staffers launched an LA Noire credits website, stating that over 100 ex-developers weren't mentioned in the credits. Apparently, these workers failed to garner mention because they weren't at the studio when production concluded. A significant number of them reportedly didn't exit Team Bondi by choice either. Rather, they were made redundant as art production wound down. Others were shuffled out once quality assurance roles moved to Rockstar's offshore studios. Most devastating about such omissions was LA Noire's importance to Australia's then nascent development community. Without their work properly credited, some developers may have been forced to pursue other careers. Team Bondi immediately received contempt due to IGN Australia's article. Much of the heat came from the International Game Developers Association, or IGDA, whose board of directors launched an investigation to determine the report's veracity. The IGDA encouraged others to come forward too. Andrew McMillan, the writer of the IGN piece, received messages from two staffers in particular, both of whom corroborated the Bondi 11 story. They leaked additional emails detailing Team Bondi's deteriorating relationship with Rockstar. According to McMillan's sources, Rockstar resented Team Bondi's lack of direction. Because the latter insisted on insane decisions, Rockstar producers became increasingly influential throughout the last 2 years of LA Noire's production, assisting programmers, animators, and artists. Supposedly, there were plans to bring Team Bondi on board as Rockstar Sydney, but these never came to fruition. Before long, Rockstar withdrew its support, forcing Team Bondi to find another entity to fund its next project, LA Noire's spiritual successor, Horror of the Orient. Film production company Kennedy Miller Mitchell absorbed the developer in August 2011. Yet, studio closures and soured publishing deals ensured Horror of the Orient never saw the light of day. Rockstar retained the rights to LA Noire, allowing for a remaster to hit stores in 2017 on the Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. The VR case files followed soon thereafter, featuring several cases retooled for virtual reality. Many a fan hoped these releases were a sign of Rockstar testing the waters, perhaps insinuating production on a proper sequel. Apart from unsubstantiated rumors, however, such hopes remain only that. The franchise arguably deserves a second chance, a new installment whose finer qualities won't be sullied by behind-the-scenes controversy. Just as Team Bondi's success represents a pivotal moment in the medium's technological and storytelling evolution, so too does it illustrate the pains of unhealthy working conditions, an issue that the gaming industry is all too familiar with. Thank you for watching our video. Our documentaries are crowdfunded and made possible by your continued support for us. We'd like to thank by name the generous patrons who have pledged to our highest reward tier: Caleb Shishkevich, Darirab Sigurdsson, EmuMovies.com, Jefferson Dos Santos Oliveira, Maktoum Saeed Al Maktoum, Nick, Timur Turisbekov. If you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing to our channel and joining us on Patreon. Thank you.
Cole, we've got things to do.